training is what gets me really excited, if I could say that. And we say, cool, what does that incorporate? And it incorporates this. What we actually want is we want to use AI for cognition. We want to use AI for identity. We want to use AI for agency and creativity. And we want it to therefore help us out. So, for example, what can we use here? Let's look at cognition. Let's look at clarity. Instead of asking AI to summarize your idea, why don't you ask AI to interview you and ask you 30 questions that will enable you to craft an even better idea, or perhaps overcome difficulties that you didn't even know existed. That's the difference between just putting it into chat and actually using AI as a cognitive partner. And so from that perspective, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it on papers. Everybody keep your phones down. But afterwards, take this away and start using chat to start crafting things, because it's incredibly helpful. And the different AIs will be better at different things. So chat's really good at creating clarity and cognitive. DeepSeek's a little bit better at brainstorming and different aspects of ideation. But then you just bounce between them and you actually ask them to create prompts for the other, and it works really, really well. So now what I'd like us to do is we're gonna, in our tables, grab yourselves something to take notes on. And I'd like to take the next 10 minutes, let's do 15 minutes, okay? And what I'll do is I'm gonna let you know every 3 minutes. And so we'll keep 3 minutes per person, and then that's gonna lead us to about 12 minutes, plus leave us a little bit of extra time to kind of work together. So 3 minutes per person. What we're gonna do is we're gonna help the other person write a draft of their story for your idea. It doesn't have to be a company. It doesn't even have to be solid yet. If it is, amazing. If it's not, don't worry about it. What we're gonna do is just start playing around with a narrative of the story, or a narrative of the idea. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah? So, introduce yourselves to everybody else at your table, and then we'll get going in just a second.
So, can you start?
All right, so, and the purpose of this, and what I'll do is I'll go back and just put up the think, feel, do. But what I want you to do is I want you to think of yourself as the protagonist in this story. The inciting incident could be the idea that struck you one day. And then the journey is all of the things that you might need to do from now, even, or the things that you might have done. All right, so we're gonna take 3 minutes for the first person, starting now.
Okay. So what are we like? That was in the story of yeah, and you just look at the different parts of that again. Yeah, that is okay.
And if you need any help, just shout over and I can come over and help you out.
What was the story arc?
There we go. So we have a scene, we have a main character, which is probably you, or it might be your product, or it might even be the investor if you really want to be fun with it. Put them in the story. Then there's an inciting incident. Something is different, something changed, something didn't work, something worked really well, whatever the case may be. Then there's a journey. It might be a struggle, it might not be. It might actually be, we then went from here to here and we built from strength to strength to strength to strength. And then lastly, there's transformation. The inciting incident has now caused for there to be a new normal. And the new normal is your product interacting with the world, perhaps. Okay? And then afterwards, there's usually a type of a vision or a resolution or something that has come from it. So, who's the main character? What is the inciting incident? What is the journey? And what are you aiming for? What does the end vision look like for that product or for that idea? Okay?
Cool. So I mean, okay, let's if we take my like whole idea is about like okay, you have technology and a lot of it's really bad for you. Like mentally it's really bad for you. And the way that we use technology is so addictive and stuff. So could set this even like, okay, like, I don't know, I'm using my technology or something, and then it's like slowly making my life worse and worse in every aspect. It's like I'm growing more and more distant from my parents and stuff, and like my family, whatever. It's getting harder and harder to focus when I'm studying for my exams. I'm spending more and more time sitting down. It's worse for my health. So I guess that would be like the journey. I don't know. What would that be? Probably something like that. And then,
It does sound like a series of inciting incidents.
oh, okay.
Because you've noticed something. Something's changed. Something's different. There was a day where you sat there and said, oh my God, I'm getting further and further away from my parents.
Yeah.
That is the inciting incident. Your realization is your incident.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I tried stuff like app blockers, I tried stuff like turning my phone into black and white mode, all of these things. And then I came, after like years of that, came to the realization that it's all just, like they're all band-aid solutions, and it's not fixing the problem at its root, which is why I keep going back to, like the same problems keep showing up again and again. And then that forced me to rethink technology entirely and realize that it's a lot of it's for other people to it's like the companies are just trying to make money off of it. It's not really in our best interests necessarily. And that's why I want to redesign the mobile phone. That's why I want to redesign the mobile phone. Maybe just like the whole paradigm inside of how mobile phones are designed or how laptops are designed, because they're designed in a way which is easy to ensnare us.
You'll struggle.
Yeah.
It's not
It's easy to
Or a
make.
journey. May not have been a struggle. Maybe a journey. Alright.
It's
Let's
just
take another minute to kind of write down what came out so far, and then we'll move on to the next person.
Oh, so we have different ones.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were the same one.
Everyone has to have one.
And then you turn things, you do something like turning your phone into black and white moments, just you keep away from them.
Yeah.
And eventually you are self-aware that technology is bad for human beings, and you started to redesign the mobile
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So who's next over here? What's the next story?
Do you have to find
The next
Next person.
Next person.
Next person.
Huh? Next person, like
Yeah.
one of us.
So start out with think of it as though you're sharing kind of an origin story. I was thinking about this idea because I was at Starbucks and I hated the coffee, and so I decided that this was kind of a cool idea, and so therefore I started looking into it, but I haven't seen too much yet. That could be how you're starting your story. But who's next? Go for it.
Can you be myself?
Absolutely.
Other people.
Yeah, other people. It can be other people. It could be. I noticed a friend of mine was always having a difficult time with this, and I just thought about it. Actually, at my daughter's school, because she goes mainly virtual academy now, one of the dads there found that his daughter couldn't download her homework easily. It was really difficult to actually go through all of the different calendars and find it. So he just coded an app that grabbed everything and dumped it into one page. So his daughter had a one-page summary, and then shared the app with all the other parents. And that was it. So for him, his daughter was the protagonist. For me, he's the protagonist, he's the main character, and that's the story where it gets built around. Now, if it's easier, you can keep working on the same story. If that makes it easy.
So
Or if you want to swap out. What have you got so far?
So I have like main characters, which is myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a problem with the bio-based dyes and the color fading
Mhm.
problem at the moment. Trying to figure out how to fix color of clothes or kind of like wash
Mhm.
transformations. So we have kind of because I'm working or studying the computer science, so kind of have the chance to get involved with the moderns, which technically is to have the clothes and the dye something combined better.
Yeah.
So so I was like have the idea to kind of develop a bio modern, which is makes still kind of sustainable, but have a better performance with color.
So if you were going to make a story out of that, and you wanted to get people excited just by that first part,
Yeah.
how would you do it? You just met me and I said, hey, what's the project you're working on? And you wanted to capture my attention immediately. Give me something that I can remember. What would you say?
Maybe start with a question like, do you have a problem with like
Clothes fading?
clothes fading?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Because everybody's listening to you now because it's a great story. Yeah.
yeah, and like so, I also have like after the question, probably I also have these kind of question problems in the like daily life. So I am actually developing kind of modems to help the to solve this kind of problem.
Yep.
And what is the
So what you've got is,
set the scene.
right? So do you have a problem with your clothes fading? Do you hate it when your clothes fade? Do you have a favorite jumper and all of a sudden it becomes lighter and lighter? It's no longer the color,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I had the same problem, and I absolutely hated it, especially with sustainable dyes, because I want to try and buy sustainable goods, but by and large I find that they're substandard and I can't get them to stay. So all of a sudden I end up with a white shirt. The jumper that I'm wearing right now, it used to be colorful. Like, no, seriously, this used to have a giant Red Hot Chili Pepper symbol on it, and now it's gone. And that was because I bought it from an environmentalist, and they made the dye out of leaves, and I don't know what it did, but now it's gone. That was my inciting incident. So what I decided to do, because I work in material sciences, is I know that in a lot of cases it has to do with how the dye actually bonds to the material and what the dye is composed of, so that when it goes through the washer, the soap doesn't pull it off, the acids in the soap don't pull it off, the betanes in the soap don't pull it off. Everything just stays as it is. And that's really tough to do, especially from a sustainable perspective, because the first thing that I wanted to do was like spray paint it on and see if that washed off, and it probably wouldn't, but there's a lot of harmful stuff that goes in there. Now we're in the journey. So I've tried this experiment was promising, this one didn't work so well, but we're slowly moving towards different combinations, right? And we're slowly moving towards getting it. Once we do, imagine what it'll be like if you went out, or your wife went out, or you bought people Christmas gifts and you knew that in a year it would look exactly the same as when they bought it, no matter how many times they washed it. Wouldn't that be amazing? You'd probably stop throwing away clothes or giving away clothes as often. Now you've told a story. And everybody here remembers that story, and as soon as they see you, they're going to say, there's the guy in the white shirt who doesn't have any dye on his shirt because he keeps washing off, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, let's take it, because we're used to telling stories. Now, the one thing that we tend to do, and let me know, has anybody ever met up with a friend and their friend started telling them a story, but it really wasn't a story. It was like, oh my God, you're never gonna believe what happened. So I left my house and I went and I ended up going to that new pizza place. And that new pizza place was really, really good. And now I'm here. And you're like, okay, that just took like 5 minutes of my life away from me without giving me anything. Was it good pizza? Was it bad pizza? You gotta give me something, because otherwise we're just sharing information. And that's what everybody does. If you crack this, if you get the story behind anything, and it's the same thing, the difference between a really great research paper and a really horrible research paper is whether or not the tutor actually wants to read it. And if it's a story, they'll want to read it. And if it's just, I'm going to talk to you about this, and this is really exciting, and they're like, okay, let me be the judge of that. And they're like, no, it's not. And that's ultimately down to this. And so we do it all the time. But the important part is to plan it out, because it's not natural in a lot of cases. And so that's why we do this. You just draft it out. You say to yourself, right, what can I do? And does it have to be true? That's actually what a lot of people struggle with. Does it have to be true? No. No, it doesn't. Do you want to know why? Because it's a story. You know, Nada is not true, but it's a great story. When you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's not true, but it's a great story. Now, what you want to do is that is where you can take some creative license. One of the things that I will use as an example to, this is actually a true story. I was working for J.K. Rowling's charity, which is called Lumos, and I was teaching storytelling.